What's up, guys? Welcome back to Young, Hot, and Divorced. I'm Tori, and today I wanted to talk about how I am raising my boys with faith. So, when I became a mom, I didn't even consider how I was going to teach my kids about God. I was fairly confident that I was going to be raising them to be Jewish, and we were just kind of like going through the motions of how I grew up. So, I went to a Jewish preschool, and that really taught me like the foundations of being Jewish. And the boys went to a Jewish preschool as well. So they started to learn some basic things. And I loved that they were being exposed to faith at such a young age. One of the things that their preschool taught them was a blessing over bread or food before you eat, and it's called the hamotzi. So, what that prayer is saying is basically, thank you, God, for bread, for food, for giving us food. And you say it right before you eat. And the way that they taught the kids was super cute. They basically taught them in the form of a song. And hearing the boys sing that song was so special because I don't know that they knew exactly what they were saying when they did it, but they did translate in English as well. So they knew the Hebrew and the English. And in English, they said, "We thank God for bread." And I think that that was such a beautiful start to introduce my boys into faith, and not only just faith, but also the values of being thankful and grateful and knowing that not everybody has access to food. And that's something to be super appreciative of. That was their first introduction to God. Now it's become a little different. My path has obviously changed on how I believe that I'm going to be raising them. And talking about God is different for them now. Like I said, I think when they were younger, I don't think that they really had the capacity to understand who they were thinking and why they were thinking them. But now they do. The way that I've decided to introduce God into the kids' lives is really just by talking about him in an everyday way, asking the kids what they're grateful for, and showing them that God provides. Everything that we have, God provided. And that's why we say thank you. In teaching the kids that God provided everything and God is in everything and everyone, there definitely was this superhero complex to God that the boys developed. And that makes sense. I think that if you think about powers and the ability to do the impossible, naturally, boys being boys are going to think superhero. And at first, I was kind of like, ooh, they're not getting it. But then I remembered that that's exactly what God is. He's a superhero. He has these powers that are unattainable and just mesmerizing. And I think that the boys have kind of grown up worshiping specifically Spider Man, but superheroes in general. And I think that that can translate into understanding worshiping God. And that might not be a conventional approach. And like I said in previous episodes, I'm not preaching or telling you what to do, but I'm just sharing that my children are becoming able to understand God through these ways. When it came to teaching the kids about God, the first thing that I decided to teach them was how to pray. I think it's really important to teach them at a very young age how to have a conversation with God. I started doing this at a very young age, completely on my own. I guess you would say that God called me to speak to him in some sort of way. And I remember it became a ritual of mine when I closed my eyes and went to bed. It's kind of personal, how I spoke to God, but the idea was that I was having a conversation with him about whatever was going on. And it was a conversation, it was a two-way street. And I think that that's what I'm trying to teach the boys right now, how to pray to God, how to talk to God, but also how to listen to God and follow God. That part's been a little trickier. The other thing that I'm trying to teach them at the moment is just basic right from wrong, and good values. When I ask the kids what they want to say to God, they often think of themselves first, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's things in their life that they want to talk to him about, and that's great. I'm supportive of any conversation. But I also encourage them to think of a prayer for somebody else, for others, for somebody who's in need, whether that be a classmate who's sick or our homeless friend Bill, whatever it is. I think it's really important to be teaching them to be thinking of others as well. And then in thinking of others, you realize how much you have. And I remind them that they have their health and they have a home and all of these things that they need to be thankful for. And they really understand because they can put it into contextual perspective. And it's something that applies to their everyday life and to the people around them as well. So my boys are in kindergarten now, and I feel like at this age, their peers have started to have an influence on them, whether that be a good influence or a negative influence. I think it's all part of growing up and the experience. And that has brought a lot of opportunities for me to teach them right from wrong. So they'll often come home and be like, so and so pushed so and so on the playground. I just like to start a conversation with them. And through exploring that conversation and leading them in faith and what's right and wrong, I take these situations and conversations as opportunities to just further instill our values as a family. I've been introducing church into the kids' life, and it's been really cute and sometimes a little comical to see how they're interpreting church. So, first of all, the first thing that I taught them was the sign of the cross. How I explained that to them was that that's a little dance that you do when you enter and say hello to God, and when you leave and say goodbye to Him. The way that they see it is that church is God's house. So it's so cute because we'll be driving around and they'll see churches everywhere and they'll be like, Mommy, it's God's house. Mommy, it's God's house. And I'm like, yes, yes. I just love that they're thinking about God in general. The other thing that the boys know, which is super cute, is that they have to use their library voice in God's house or church. And I guess that's something they were taught in school, how to have a library voice and whisper. And thank God, because otherwise it would be absolute chaos. There's just so much innocence in the language that they're using right now. And it really makes me think that, it's not so much the verbiage that's important, but the values. Going forward, I haven't really figured it all out on how I continue this path with them. I would be absolutely lying if I said, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. And that's how I'm going to teach them faith. I'm kind of going with the flow. I let them lead a lot and ask questions and just support whatever they're thinking at the moment. It's definitely crossed my mind now at this point how I'm going to pursue religious education with them. I don't know much about religious education in Catholicism. I really hope that they teach the Old Testament and the New Testament. That would make me more comfortable just sending them there. But I want to raise them with the Old Testament as well. And I learned that through going to Hebrew school. So I would be completely open to sending them to both, honestly. At the end of the day, I do really want them to be able to form their own opinions when it comes to faith and religion. And I will lead them down the path that I believe is best for them. But when they become of an age where they're capable to decide, I truly believe in religious freedom. Like, you're allowed to think and believe whatever you want to think and believe. And my family has a hard time accepting this, but I want to make sure that that's different for my children. In this journey in general, I'm trying to pursue something different for my children than how I grew up. A lot of the time when I was growing up, some of the people who were guiding me would tell me that I was learning what not to do instead of what to do. And I didn't know at the time if that was going to be helpful or harmful. And I don't know that anybody who was trying to give me direction in life had that answer as well. And thinking about how I was raised, I didn't really feel like my faith aligned with my own personal values and also what I saw around me. I don't think there were examples of what we quote unquote believed or what we practiced growing up. And I think that faith is something that is so strong and so powerful. And had I had the tools that I'm trying to learn for myself now and implement in my children's lives, we'll never know if I would have turned out better or how things would have been. And everything happens for a reason. And I am where I am because I should be. But at the end of the day, you always strive to do better than your parents, right? That's the whole point, to break generational curses and just give the next generation some better footing to stand on. That's my goal with the boys. Something else that's really unique about our situation is that the boys and I are going on this journey together. And I think that that's so beautiful. We're all experiencing this for the first time together. And that's something that I'm really going to cherish. When I finish my OCIA classes, we will be baptized together. And I think that that's just such a beautiful experience to share with my children. And I feel like I'm showing them the way. I know that early Christianity was called the way. You were just following the way of Jesus. And I really like to think of it that way. It's just the way. It's the way that it should be. It's the way that we should treat one another. It's the way that we should go about our lives. It's truly the way that I want my children to live their life. And I feel like there's so much power in that. Just like in any other aspect of my children's lives, I want to be able to give them all of the tools and resources that they need to succeed. And I believe that faith and the Bible and learning these values and faith at the same time, especially, and having that correlation and something to relate to is going to be instrumental in shaping who they are as people, as men. I have noticed that a lot of young people, as I go through this journey myself, are finding God and in different ways, but a lot of people are also converting to Christianity. And I think that that's so beautiful because clearly we're searching for something. And the fact that we're searching for good is such a light. And nobody is called to God, in my opinion, to do evil. So the idea that so many people are turning to God for guidance, to learn the right thing to do, to shape their own lives is really inspirational. And I hope that that continues and that my children are part of that. I think that there's so much beauty in this whole situation, whether it be learning, whether it be the innocent verbiage that they're using, whether it be the values that I'm teaching. It's all positive and it's all good. And that's what makes me feel like there's no question in what I'm doing, whether it's right or wrong, as long as you keep it positive and helpful and you see that your children are responding in comfort and secure ways, I think that that's really the goal at the end of the day. And like I said, I'm just sharing how I am approaching faith with my own children. You can take what you want from it and you can leave what you want from it. I really would like to know in the comments if you're going through something similar and also teaching faith to your children, how you're going about it. I know that so many people have reached out to me and sent such amazing resources for introducing the Bible and God and faith to your children and things like that. And I'm not sure that my kids are exactly there yet. I think that they're more in a conceptual state at the moment. And also, I don't really know enough to be able to feel confident to teach them everything yet. And I know that that's a lifelong process. And there's so much beauty in that as well. To know that I'm giving something to my children that will take them through their entire life is such a gift. Really, at the end of the day, what I'm doing is just teaching them to be good people, to be role models. And I hope by doing this that they're able to attract the right people and right things for their life. That's all you could possibly ask for and want for your children. And while their path might not be easy, it's already off to a pretty rocky start. I hope that they continue to have faith and are able to see that no matter what life throws at them, there is always something to be hopeful and grateful and thankful for, and that they are so blessed. While figuring this entire situation out, I've realized I absolutely don't have the answers, but I do have a few answers. What I've really taken from this experience is that kids don't need flawless parents. I don't need to be perfect to be able to lead my children in the right way. Values matter so much more than teaching vocabulary. And honestly, just like everything else in life, I just have to trust God with the rest. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. If any of this has resonated with you, please make sure that you subscribe. I plan on releasing more faith based episodes on Sundays. I feel like that's a really nice day to have this whole reflection on. And I really hope that I'm able to say something that sticks with you or inspires you, and that you feel like you're able to connect with me, because that's what this is all about. And I've learned so much from you guys sharing. So please continue to do so. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Tori. This is Young, Hot, and Divorced, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.